The Knicks' secret weapon may have been revealed to be coming to the NBA for the first time after being drafted in 2021 by the New York Knicks, and we have to talk about this. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into the video because Rokas Jokubaitis, who was drafted by the Knicks 34th overall in 2021, will be coming over to the NBA this summer to make his Summer League debut in order to try to make an NBA roster, specifically the New York Knicks, who do own his draft rights after picking him a few years ago ahead of a current Knicks role player. And let's just jump right into it, because as we saw, Rokas Jokubaitis is expected to leave Barcelona at the end of the season. He'll play in Summer League to pursue the NBA dream, and if he stays in Europe, Zalgiris, whatever, I don't know, is the favorite to sign the Lithuanian point guard. Now, here's the deal. Rokas Jokubaitis was picked by the New York Knicks in 2021, 34th overall, and he was actually picked ahead of this current New York Knicks role player, Deuce McBride. Now, in the beginning of the second round, the Knicks had 2 draft picks that they ended up getting in return for that 32nd overall, where it says they took Jeremiah Robinson Earl. And then we saw those kind of switch around. The Knicks now have Rokas' draft rights, and they have, obviously, Deuce McBride, who is broken out as the Knicks' backup point guard, but also kind of a combo guard in general. And we know how great Deuce has been for the New York Knicks. But we now have another guard coming over, which could fit right into the Knicks' plan, as we do know that the New York Knicks prefer seeing Deuce McBride as more of an undersized shooting guard, kind of that Avery Bradley mold, more than anything else. And now Rokas is coming over, and he is going to get a chance to play for the New York Knicks in the Summer League, and if he plays well, he could see himself get actual minutes with the New York Knicks next year, as a ton of Knicks players will be hitting free agency. They're going to need to fill out depth for the roster. They might make a major trade that could affect who is currently on the Knicks bench. We don't really know what's going to happen this summer. It could certainly be an interesting free agency for the Knicks. And that means that Rokas Jokubaitis could have a pathway to actually getting NBA minutes next season. Now, Rokas has been hesitant to come over for this exact reason. He doesn't want to just sit on the bench or be stuck in the G League. He wants to be in an NBA rotation, so he's taken his time since he got drafted. He kind of let his game and his body fill out more so he could be really, truly NBA ready once he comes over as a 23-year-old. And if we look here, this is kind of what it alludes to. He's still a young 23-year-old hooper, and he spent his last few seasons playing for FC Barcelona in the country's National League and the world-renowned EuroLeague, which is viewed to be the best league outside of America. In that time, he's also become one of the most prominent players in Lithuanian basketball. Now, none of that, however, has seemingly convinced the Knicks to offer him a chance to cross the pond, nor the player to get comfortable with signing a low-key deal with the New York Knicks. And as we continue, just something that we've seen is that Rokas was picked 34th overall in the 2021 draft by the Oklahoma City Thunder, who ended up trading his rights to the New York Knicks in that Jeremiah Robinson Earl deal. And he participated in the NBA Summer League before dedicating the summer of 2022 to the Lithuanian national team. And what he said, now this is from last year, he said, I'm in touch with them a bit. They have the ongoing season right now. Everything's tense, but we keep in touch. My agent was there to talk with them. We haven't heard much from them. He will go there again in April. What we did hear is that the Knicks would like to see me, but the main question is whether they'd like to have me in the Summer League or on the main roster. We have to wait, because at this point where I nor they know anything about. And that's definitely an interesting thing if you're Rokas, because currently he's overseas playing basketball, just doing his thing, getting actual professional basketball minutes. And a lot of overseas players are comfortable doing that and would prefer to do that rather than be on the end of an NBA bench somewhere, just kind of hanging out in America where you're really, really far away from home. You're on the Western Hemisphere. You're away from everything. And yeah, though you're in the NBA, there's a good chance no one's going to know who you are outside of some guy who was on some bench for a few years. And Rokas doesn't want that. He wants a chance to actually play NBA basketball. And for him, it's been important for him to mold his game outside of the NBA through continually playing. Now, I personally believe the best way to develop a player is to give them playing time. They just need, sitting someone on the end of a bench is not going to help as much as getting them actual minutes, getting them comfortable playing basketball. Just let them kind of have the freedom to really just play and understand, because you're never really going to understand how to do something, what to do, especially at an NBA level, until you're just in the game, until you're into the flow of it. Deuce McBride started slow when he became the Knicks' backup point guard after the IQ trade. But now, if we look at it, he's one of the best guys on this Knicks team when it comes to role players. He's going to have a massive role in the playoffs, and this really came just through him getting more and more minutes. Tibbs trusted him, he kept giving him minutes, and it ended up working out. Now, does that always happen? No, of course not. Sometimes you give someone minutes, and it turns out they just can't hang. We don't know what the deal is with Rokas. We know that he's a very good playmaker. We know he's a smart player. We know he gives a ton of effort. We know his three-point shooting is not exactly where we want it to be, though there are a lot of positives with him. He's young. He's got real potential as a backup point guard for this New York Knicks squad, which would let Deuce McBride play that 2 spot, which would really work out well for the Knicks. Now, as we continue, something that Rokas did talk about last year is the feeling inside has to come naturally. The understanding has to come now that I have to try my luck. With the inconsistency of this season, it's hard to tell whether I feel like I'm ready to go there. I have to be on the regular roster if I went there. I don't want to wander between the G League or wait for someone to get injured. I have to fully trust myself. At the same time, they have to fully trust me. If I helped win a more important title by not just being beside the action, that would add to my desire to go to the NBA. So Rokas just continues saying the same thing that we've seen, which is that, yeah, he wants to go to the NBA, but he doesn't want to be stuck on the end of the Knicks bench. He would want minutes. And I think it's also clear that if the Knicks weren't to give Rokas minutes, then he would rather go to a different NBA team. And you kind of can do that. Draft and stash rules are weird. So yeah, the Knicks currently own the draft rights to Rokas, which means if he is to sign with a team, then it's going to have to be the Knicks. That's just how draft rights work. You cannot sign with anyone else. You're a free agent, but you can only sign with the Knicks. Now, we've seen guys end up on different teams before. One being Bogdan Bogdanovic, who found his way to the Sacramento Kings, despite not being drafted by them. And it all worked out fine. He's now on the Hawks. He's now one of the better sixth men in the NBA. He's a great shooter. He is a very, very respected NBA player. He torched the Knicks in the 2021 playoffs. So we're going to see Rokas come over, and I hope he plays for the Knicks. I love the idea of draft and stash players. I just find it fun, personally, if you ask me. I just think it's an enjoyable thing. And if you look at his stats, he appeared in 28 EuroLeague games for Barcelona, starting 2 of them, averaging nearly 6 points per game, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists. He's logging nearly 17 minutes while shooting 50% from 2, and then nearly 31% from 3-point range, while he's only shooting 66.7% from the free throw line. So I think the main concern is his shooting. He can get to the rim well, he finishes well, he passes really well. The problem is he doesn't exactly shoot the ball very well. Though with the Knicks bench, if things go correctly, then it'll be fine. We know Josh Hart's going to work with J.J. Redick this summer. We know Deuce McBride is a 40% shooter from 3. Maybe Rokas' shooting won't be the end of him. The 66.7% from the line is definitely concerning, because when you look at it, the way you shoot free throws is a good way to tell how much potential you really have as a shooter. So maybe that's not the best, but the Knicks don't need Rokas to be a knockdown shooter. What they need him to be is just a solid playmaker. The Knicks don't have enough playmaking on this roster, so bringing him over could be a massive help. And I know those numbers don't jump out at you, but numbers are lower in the EuroLeague. You're not going to get some guy who's putting up 35 points per game like you are in the NBA. That's just not how the EuroLeague plays basketball. It's slower. There's more fundamental to it. And also, he's only getting 17 minutes per game because they're favoring the older players like, the NBA does. So it's fine. I'm not really that concerned by the stats. I want to see how Rokas does in the Summer League. I really, really hope he ends up on the New York Knicks. I'm rooting for him because last time the Knicks had a draft and stash player, I want to say that was in 2016. No, they didn't have draft pick in 2016 because they wanted to trade for Isaiah Whitehead and didn't. 2017 or 2018, they drafted Anyan Jamarez, who never came over because he just, I guess, wasn't that good. They also drafted him 58th overall. It's a little different. But I do want to see a draft and stash player on the New York Knicks. Hopefully it's Rokas Jokubaitis. I would love if he worked out and they could instantly get some extra playmaking on this roster. Comment down below what you guys think about Rokas. Have you heard of him in the past? What do you know on him? What do you want to see from him? Do you think he will end up on the New York Knicks next season? Do you think he'll get minutes? He's also a pretty decent defender, so Tibbs might like him. Playmaking and defense goes far for this New York Knicks team. Let me know down below, guys. Have a great day. Go Knicks.